Now, yesterday in my debate with Stephen Atkins, I mentioned some things which are generally ahistorical. If you're a Christian at home and you read the Gospel of Mark, this is what I want to ask you to do. Read that story, use a Greek interlinear. You can go on biblehub.com/interlinear and just read the chapter, and the words in square brackets, ignore them because they're not there in the text. Just take the words outside of the square brackets in the interlinear, read it, and then you can read a translation like the Lexham English Bible, which is more literal and does not include as many assumptions as other ones, the NASB North American Standard Bible, or the YLT Young's Literal Translation. You read those three, just on the last three chapters of Mark. What you will find is that there's actually a lot read into the text. So, for example, the idea that when you read, for example, that Jesus was led out to be crucified, and then along the way they bump into Simon of Cyrene, you will notice that it's only the Gospel of John that mentions Jesus carried the crossbeam. That is not present in the Gospel of Mark. And so you have to ask, if because Jesus in the Gospel of Mark says, if you want to follow me, take up your own cross and follow me.
Yeah.
So it's true that he says that in the Gospel, but in the Gospel itself, he never actually takes up his own cross. And so it seems as if the Gospel of John notices that glaring error and decides to fix it in a later edition. But here is the problem as well. The Gospel of Mark also in and of itself does not say take up your cross and follow me, because it would be a historical error to take up the cross. You don't take up the cross itself. In fact, you don't even take up the crossbeam. That's based on a mistranslation of a interpolated word in a legal contract in Latin, not even Greek, the word patibulum and crux. So the long and short of it is, when a Christian today reads the New Testament, especially the Gospels, what they have in mind is what they see on those TV movies about the crucifixion. They have this image while they're reading the Gospels. And what happens is you read your assumptions into the text and it feels historical to you. It feels realistic because, of course, that's what movies are meant to do. But what you're actually doing is conjuring those images and reading them back into the text. The Muslim is simply pointing out that when you read the text, that's not what you see. And that's what the scholars themselves say as well. What about the case where they put that sign at the top of the cross? In all of recorded history about crucifixions, not once do they put a sign on the top of the cross. They actually hang it around the person's neck. And they have the sign on the person's neck. So you have all these errors along the way that do not seem to make sense and which are utterly confusing on every conceivable level. And so when Christians tell us that, the Gospel of Mark is historical, yes, it's a Greco-Roman bias, we don't deny that. I don't think any of us denied that. You still end up with the same problems.